The training starts with a search for fresh water. Liko accidentally found a stagnant glowing pond. She says that the firefly mosquito larvae only lives in clean water and proceeds to almost get ambushed by a hippo rat exhaust pipe. Then they collect materials to make a hut and starts a fire which lures every insect in the whole forest. Day 3, Liko goes off on her own to get some tree barks which she's not able to break. And so Reg is looking for her, but instead he encounters Camerup and he got yeeted into the back rooms. Day 5, they devise a plan to kill the exhaust pipe for food. Liko will lure the beast using a toaster from the female hippo rat, and then flashbangs the mob in the face. And so Reg will take the vulnerability moment and tie the creature up to the tree, immobilizing it. Far away from the forest, Ozan and a grandpa is observing them. He says that they have a lot of weakness, but they are making enormous progress in what they are good at. Since there are two of them, it's best to depend on each other. With that said, this last phrase triggers a tragic memory from Ozan, which clears up why she despises Liko. Look at this. Liza treats her like family, challenges her, brings her smiles, and the creme de la creme. Obliterates her soulless heart. In the abyss, Liza is not feeling well, the baby is stillborn, and the father looks like a f***ing child died. And so Ozan is livid from all this bullshit piling up, so she decided to carry Liza and the bell to the surface, but then a sound of a crying baby. And now we'll cut back to Liko and Reg eating some delicious hippopotamus meat. Day 10, they head back to the camp, tired as f***. Reg puts on his helmet and notices that the symbol is different. Ram rushes in and says that Ozan would like to have a meal with them. And so she asks, how was it? Well, there was a move that you have done there, but looking back at it now, it was over in a blink of an eye. Ozan explains that it's an actual phenomenon called interstellar time dilation. Let's say that 10 years has passed on the surface, but for Liza, it's only a few years, which means she's probably alive and well. Damn, look at those curves that Ozan has. Oh shit. Did she just snap her C1, C2, C3, C4, C5, C6, D1 vertebrae back together? Then she introduces the other white whistle that are still currently in the abyss. Wakuna, the chosen, Plague Doctor, the mysterious, Pathfinder, the novel. She warns Reg about Pathfinder. He's an unethical, immoral, dishonest, good-for-nothing son of a bitch. Which reminds her that the letter from Liza is written by whom? Because the writing is overly large and is crooked. The words are written in an old nether glyphs and the paper can even be ripped by Ozan herself. She then gives a pickaxe used by Liza to Liko as an alternative to the hand cannon, and out of nowhere Ozan decides to drop secrets to both of them that no one should know, like a cryptic device for traversing the 5th layer C. White whistle timbers acts as a key to activate certain relics. Mysterious rings at the 7th layer that only a few white whistles are said to see. The next day, Liko and Reg are ready to set off to the 3rd layer. Far back, Ozan observed them from far away, reminiscing the days with Liza. The main point of the flashback, Liza has an apprentice called Jiruo, or we know him as Leader. Liza told Ozan to tell Liko that she's a living corpse and how much of a miracle it took to make her move, so that she's able to experience the adventure ahead. And so, Liko and Reg sets off. They utilize the tunnels dug by this mice creature to descend. On the way, they came across one half of a ship. Good question, Reg. While on the ship, Liko decides to search for some relic, but the only relic she's gonna find are a pile of literally, and a hammerhead mantis. Reg immediately flew into action, hand cannons its face right off, and he tells Liko that, "Kid, I'm about to faint in 10 minutes for 2 hours before that happens. Obama's last name is..." And so a flying slug crashes in and chases them to a dead end, which is not really dead. The creature's scream frightens the mice and opens up the hole for them to slide in, a convenient place for Reg to safely pass out. Or so he thought. Liko is hungry, so she drags Reg along to find some food in the belly of a sack of scrotum. And so, fearing for her life, she cuts it open and gets flushed out, where a bunch of mice mistaken her smell for fruits and starts munching on her. Liko runs away to safety, finding her way out of the tunnel to a slope. First off, she should have been dead. The mice are built to survive in that environment. How the f does a 12-year-old carrying another 12-year-old and a big-ass backpack outrun the mice that literally built the tunnels? Anyways, there's no turning back. Liko starts ascending, which triggers the curse of the 3rd layer. She starts hallucinating, seeing everyone she knows, and at the top, her mother, bringing her back to the surface where everyone is celebrating the return. But she realizes that Reg is not here. She can't bear the pain of not being with Reg and breaks out of the hallucination. And so she collapses from the exhaustion, but the slug isn't giving her the time of day. Reg finally wakes up and sees Liko unraveling the pickaxe and the slug monster obediently waiting for her. After unwrapping the pickaxe, the mob attacks Liko, but Reg flies in and uppercuts Slug Terror in its face. Then Liko Riko gives Reg the pickaxe, he sets the charge and bats in home run, sending the beast into the abyss. Nice pun. And so they then hide in a hole to rest for the day. Reg calls Riko over to see the bottom. It's the 4th layer, Goblets of Giants. And so they decided to descend immediately. Riko is enamored by the landscape, joyfully walking around, but Reg is terrified for her because the abyss curse for the 4th layer makes you bleed out from all your orifice. Just keep that in your mind on the absolute gamble that Riko is in right now. And so they then rest in a tree hollow talking about squid creatures. But then Reg suddenly felt a strange presence. Riko thinks that it's probably another cave raider or a white whistle, so he suggests to get out of the place. They travel to a foggy area far away from the unknown thing. Riko is exhausted from all this walking but is stopped by Reg, alerted by something in the fog. It's a bowling porcupine. Riko tells Reg to run away because the spines on that creature are able to penetrate steel and is laced with poison that killed hundreds of cave raiders. And so he took the advice and bolts, but the porcupine is able to predict his movement and caught up to him, destroying the backpack. Reg wants to retrieve the pickaxe the monster knows and kicks it away, but they are in luck. Riko brings out a scaled umbrella and immediately gets destroyed. Reg turns to her saying that is jack sh**. Quick, let's skedaddle. Bruv, are you there? The attack is coming. Bruv! And so Reg snaps out and dodges the attack, bringing Riko to the side and assess this hole they are in right now. Don't pull it out. Don't pull it out, you idiot. You know what? You do you, buddy. You do you. He constricts her arm with a rope and tries to escape, but the only option is to go up. But Riko will be bleeding out from every orifice. Reg can't decide, but Riko begs him to ascend. She knows the risk and has accepted it. Without any other option, Reg ascends. Now at safety, Riko's vision becomes wonky. The poison expelled out before the blood, but it's too late. She's bleeding everywhere. Her hands have swollen to the extent that even taking out the glove caused intense pain. Riko tells Reg to cut off her arm. She says to break it first so it'll be easier to cut. Reg doesn't want to, but seeing all the pain that she's going through right now, he has no choice. He elevates her arm on a rock and snaps it. Riko passed out from the pain. Reg is shaking. He goes in and slowly cuts the arm. A bunch of bugs suddenly appears which frustrates him and he starts hacking at them. When he looks down at Riko, she's not breathing and has turned purple. Reg is devastated, but then a mysterious being appears and says that her heart is still beating. Do some mouth-to-mouth resuscitation. Reg thanked the mysterious being, but it's still too early to relax. Grab some branches to enforce her arm and follow me to my crib. I'll fix her arm, but it's not gonna be the same as it was. And so he follows the mysterious being back to its place. He stopped at the entrance, which ascends a considerable amount, afraid that Riko will bleed again. The being tells him that there are no to minimal curses here, so hurry up or she will swell up like her hand. And so he enters the hut and sees cave raiding equipments and a bunch of whistles. The mysterious being then introduces itself. The name is Nanachi, but your cave raiders will call me a hollow. Reg sets Riko down the futon. Nanachi loosens the rope for the poison to circulate all over the body, and by using the medicine to get rid of all of it at once. Nanachi then did the best Gregory House impression. She's unconscious, so eating is out of the question, so we'll administer it anally. Next is the removal of bone fragments, stitching of blood vessels and flesh. A bunch of nerves are f***ed up from someone breaking it in half. After the surgery, Reg introduces himself and Riko, but Nanachi already knows because the strange presence felt by Reg at the tree hollows is actually it listening to them. I don't know what pronouns to use for Nanachi since it has no gender, so I'll use it. Nanachi saw them being attacked by the porcupine but didn't help because it's curious of what the f is up with them and has no intentions of showing itself either, but decided to save them out of pity. Reg then heard a sound from another room. Nanachi shows Reg a cute little Mitty. Okay, before I show you this, have you seen a blobfish? Brilliant. Then you're probably fine seeing this monstrosity of a creation. Nanachi explains that this is the aftermath of sending the 6th layer and surviving it. You'll lose your humanity and become a hollow husk of a person you once were. That's where the name hollow came from. But Nanachi doesn't look like that because it's an exception amongst other exceptions. If Cave Raiders becomes a hollow, your fellow buddies will end your suffering, but Nanachi is a proof that you could return with your humanity intact. So people wants to capture it, which means revealing itself is really risky. And so after that, Nanachi gives a list of items for Reg to collect to heal Riko, telling him that you have 12 hours, all I've done is merely delay the Reaper. Nanachi goes and takes care of Riko and sees the white whistle, which reminds it of Pathfinder, quote unquote, celebrating a successful experiment. The first thing on Reg's list is to get a big demon fish. Second, a freshly laid hammerbeak egg. Third, the best smelling yellow shining grass. Lastly, an infected shroom bear. Reg collected all the items and rushes back to the hut, seeing Nanachi undressing Riko. And so he confronts Nanachi, but it's just piss. She peed herself. Nanachi opens the basket and takes the mushroom mushroom from the pig and attaches it to Rico's arm. Because in nature, these mushrooms form a symbiotic relationship with the pig, giving the nutrients stored by the shrooms to the pig when needed, but pulling the mushrooms off later will hurt like hell. And the other items are dinner for Nanachi. Now Rico's arms looks tumorous, but she will be saved. Reg thanks the Nanachi and grabs his arm, complimenting the fluffiness. Nanachi's embarrassed and irritated, shoves him away and tells him to wash Rico's clothes at the riverbank out back. He finds his way back and sees a field of flowers of fortitude and tombstones. It triggers a memory of saying goodbye to Liza and hallucination of the pickaxe grave with a necklace in his hand. He snaps out of it when Nanachi taps him on the shoulder and handed him another piece of clothing. After the chore is done, he walks back questioning himself. Did I bury Liza? But Ozen said it's empty. While that was happening, Mitty climbs onto Rico and stares at her. On the surface, Kiwi got sick during his birthday. The pharmacist suggests to go on the boat for better analysis. Leader explains that this is a curse. It happens often during someone's birthday. They get sick and die. Now on the boat, Kiwi is all good. Back to Reg. He enters the room and sees Mitty drooling all over Rico. Nanachi explains that she won't eat or attack her, but normally Mitty isn't emotionally attached to any visitors. Maybe it's because Rico is around the same age and Mitty used to be a girl. Plus, the medicine is from Mitty's body. She has the ability to neutralize almost everything. Reg then asks what is Nanachi before the transformation. Nanachi shrugs the question off and gave him a bowl of mud. At night, Reg explains the reason for coming down into the abyss and begs Nanachi to teach him how to avoid and see the abyss curse. He will make an exception for Reg, and so the next day, Nanachi lays out a transparent fabric, telling him how the curse truly works. The abyss curse is a force field. It warps and moves around you. As you descend, the curse doesn't affect you. You are just going under a giant fabric of force field. The only time it comes into effect is when you break through the fabric. Body parts that are not vital to life are not affected, like your fingertips. But as you move further away from the center, the force field becomes weaker, meaning the curse isn't as strong. The creatures here uses the force field to see your next move. The force field is extremely sensitive to movement of living things and even consciousness. So if you are able to see the disturbance in the fabric, you are able to predict their next move. Nanachi attaches a communicator onto Reg's helmet, showing him the world that it sees. While in the hut, Rico is having a nightmare, but Mitty is there to comfort her. Outside, Nanachi directs Reg to find a monster to test out, but the sound of a whistle alerted him, and so he rushes to the scene, seeing a cave raider encountering porcupine. Nanachi tells Reg to follow exactly what it says. Alright, now look up, don't give a shit to nothing, just look up. Now jump to your right. Reg grabs the porcupine on the force field sensing organs. The trick is to detach your actions from your conscious mind and you will confuse the heck out of them. Now he ties the creature up and hand cannons it. Nanachi is bewildered. The blast didn't kill it, but it has shed 80% of its spine, so it will take a while to recover. And so Reg goes up to the cave raider and tells him to relay a message to the leader saying that they are still continuing their adventures. After that, he walks back to Nanachi and complimenting it. Now Reg has to return the favor by doing anything that Nanachi says. The favor is to kill Mitty. Alright, I'll just let you take that in for a moment. Then a flashback of Nanachi carrying Mitty, apologizing to her for running away like this. Nanachi won't let him do whatever he please, with a trail of blood behind them. The flashback continues with human Nanachi at his hometown. Okay, Nanachi's a boy, should have been obvious I didn't get the memo. And so everyone gathers at the entrance where Pathfinder will appear with some classic propaganda bullshit, recruiting kids for some slim, shady ass tomfoolery, and so everyone follows it. Takes them to the lift, descends straight to the 5th layer. Nanachi is chilling by himself where out of nowhere Mitty came over and introduces herself. They talk throughout the night about the abyss and striving to be a cave raider. They have arrived. Everyone is at all by this strange phenomenon. Pathfinder shows up and guides them to the waiting room where you will wait for your name to be called. Finally, it's Mitty's turn, leaving Nanachi alone, so he decided to leave the room and overheard a conversation between Pathfinder and his mate. Hey boss, you think that subjecting all these kids to this f***ed-up experiment you are doing is a tad bit not humanly moral? Oh, no worries, dude. They are not even human by the end. Alright, cool. McDonald's? Yeah, McDonald's. Alright, see you then. Nanachi starts panicking, running around trying to look for Mitty. He finds her in a glass chamber and is put into it as well by Pathfinder. And so he explains the plan of sending them down into the 6th layer and bringing them up to activate the curse, which will enter through Mitty's chamber. If she dies partway through, the curse will affect Nanachi, so she will have to do her best to taking all the curses. The lift is shot down onto a pile of failed test subjects. Both of them say their last goodbye, activating the curse, transforming Mitty into the blob and Nanachi into a bunny. Pathfinder finally shocked by the results, and he did a bunch of experiments on Mitty and understands that she has taken in 2 times the amount of curses, which makes her not just lose her humanity, but basically be immortal. After seeing the torture they put her through, Nanachi carried Mitty and escaped out of the place. He takes care of her, but she's still suffering, able to feel the pain but unable to speak or scream. The only thing she could do is shed tears. Nanachi tried to kill her, but it's futile. He begs Reg to end her suffering, and so Reg tries to find another angle, but nothing works, so he'll need some time to think about it. Few days have passed. They're at lunch. Reg takes care of Riko, Nanachi reading stories to Mitty, and he has not mentioned it again. Reg sits with Nanachi, telling him that Mitty is living peacefully with you. Why end it? Nanachi explains that one day he will die, but Mitty won't. She will be suffering alone for the rest of eternity, her soul trapped, not able to do anything. This is the only chance to set her free. Reg finally accepts on the condition that Nanachi won't be taking himself out too. He sighs and agrees. After that, Nanachi puts out everything that Mitty have, and Reg prepares his hand cannon to fire, but it's stopped by Nanachi running to Mitty, apologizing to her and thanking her. He stands and walked away, turning his back to Mitty. Reg gives everything he has and sends Mitty off. They both burst out crying, hugging each other. A memory appears with Reg and Liza. He feels sad for some reason, but is woken up by the smell of food, and so he opens his eyes and sees Riko. She's teaching Nanachi how to prepare and cook food. After that, they sat down and started eating. Riko then asks where is the other person. She's able to feel a presence around, comforting her while she's unconscious. Trapped, unable to do anything, she heard a cry from another girl present, knowing the pain. But then it stopped. A silhouette of a fellow cave raider appears, which gave Riko the motivation to get going. Later that night, Nanachi brings him to a hot spring where he'll be watching Reg getting an erection and Riko getting stimulated through her little mermaid. But this is all fun and games until it's time to take off the mushroom, which hurts like giving birth. The next morning, Riko tries to move her finger, but only the thumb could move. For now, Reg apologizes for causing her so much pain, but she sees it as a proof that he protected her. Nanachi's cringing on the side. Riko rushes over and asks him to join them. He accepts. They send an information balloon to the surface and prepares everything for further descent, preserving medicine, sorting cave raiding gears, what's approved in the bag, construct arm support, sewing, and finish. The balloon package is grabbed by Nate. Nanachi sets off to the 5th layer, looking back at the hut once more.